Okay, here we go. So, welcome everyone. If you're watching the recording or if you're here live, we're really excited to have you be part of the Thrive Conference, which is taking place online March 4th and 5th. Tonight's training is to kind of give you an overview of the event and the platform. I'm going to go fairly quickly. If you have questions, feel free to ask. You can always email me with questions or post them in our WhatsApp group. So, my name is Lucy Gray. I run an organization called Actionable Innovations Global. I also work part-time for the Charter for Compassion. And at Actionable Innovations Global, we do a lot of teacher-centric events online using the Ring Central events platform, which used to be called Hopin. And then Ring Central acquired it a couple years ago. So we've held a number of virtual events on this platform and feel that there's still an opportunity for people to come together online, even though the pandemic is over theoretically, and so on and so forth. And it makes it possible to, this platform makes it possible for people around the globe to get together more often and collaborate. So that's a little bit of the history of what we're doing. The Charter for Compassion was founded in 2008, 2009 by Karen Armstrong, who's a theologian in the UK. She used her prize winning her prize money from the TED Prize that she won, the first one I think it was, to start the Charter for Compassion, which is a document that essentially says that compassion is the commonality between world religions. And so the Charter does a lot of interfaith work, but it's also about kind of social justice oriented work and helping people find compassion in whatever sector they're working in. So the executive director is Marilyn Turkovich. She ran my student teaching program when I was a baby teacher a long time ago. She's an amazing human being, will be part of this conference and knows many of you already and has an incredible network. So I highly recommend connecting to Marilyn if you don't know her already. She's a powerhouse in this world. So I've learned a lot from her and continue to do so in my part-time education work with the Charter. So we're collaborating, the Charter and my group, on this conference. And the impetus for this is that we want to help people at least find one thing that they can do to move democracy forward and to help preserve it. The climate right now, obviously here in the United States, is difficult. It has been difficult in other parts of the world around democracy for a while. And we really want to help people find the tool, the initiative, the resource, the inspiration to become more active in their corner of the world. And so that's really the essential question here. How do we activate more people to be active participants in democracies around the world? That's what we want to get at. And so we're hoping that organizations and people will share their strategies, their initiatives, whatever, and be really self-promotional about them, so that people know what the opportunities are out there. I'm also developing to be given to all the participants a database and a tool called Notion of lots of organizations and articles and things like that around this topic, very broad topic. And that will be one of the kind of the takeaways that people will get from being part of the conference. As a presenter, we're so thrilled to have you here and hope that you'll find this to be beneficial. I hope this is the start of more than just one conference a year like I do with my other ones. I really would like this to be a regular convenience so that we can get more people involved. In my other work that I do, I work with a lot of elderly people in technology, and my feeling is that there are people out there who want to participate but don't necessarily know how to, or don't necessarily have the physical wherewithal to get to a protest or whatever. So if we can give people access, whether whatever their story is, I think it's really, really important. So, I'm hoping this will be a really good experience for everyone. I also hope that organizations and people will network like crazy because I feel that together we can do more and um, uh, very often organizations need to, are kind of siloed, and it helps if they look at what other organizations are doing and get ideas or find, form partnerships. So there's hopefully something for everyone who participates in the conference. I will give you the link to the slides. They're in our Notion website, our dashboard, but I also will send them to you after this. Here is, we have Ring Central has a support website, and you can contact them. They're not super fast in terms of responding, but they have a searchable support site that can eliminate a lot of your issues if you run into anything. We can also try to answer and troubleshoot things for you too through the conference platform. The Thrive dashboard is one-stop shopping for everything related to the conference for participants and for presenters. And there's a flyer that you can email or use on social media to invite people to the conference. So those are some of the links that are here. On Sunday, we've extended the call for proposals. The deadline is this Sunday, and that's when I start building the schedule based on what people have booked. As part of the process. And so next week, it should say February 16th, not January 16th. I should have the schedule ready, and I will be sending you a spreadsheet that has a personalized link for you. And that will let you get into the conference platform before it's live and start practicing in your session room. And then if you have not scheduled your session, please do so by March 1st at the very, very latest. And then the conference happens. Live sessions from noon to Central Time to about 9 o'clock p.m. on the first day. And then the next day we start really early in the US hours to accommodate European time zones. So at 6 a.m. is our first keynote. In between the live sessions, our recorded sessions will be playing and recordings from the first day's live sessions too. So no matter when you log in, there should be something for you to look at and to peruse. So this is a little bit about the timeline. Again, presenters, you're really essential to this success. This is a community effort, and we hope that we can fill the rooms with as many people as possible. It's hard to get people to do things, particularly online these days. A lot of people are somewhat zoomed out. And so if you can help promote things, it would be really greatly appreciated. But we don't have a huge budget for getting the word out, and this is really kind of a grassroots effort. So please, please, please help us get the word out. You're core to the success of this. So we do have some resources for you, including that flyer that I mentioned. We have social media graphics and sample tweets and that sort of thing. There's a whole document that has promotional materials that you can just copy and paste. Feel free to edit things as you see fit, but we have some basic stuff for you to use if you'd like to use those tools. Social media, personalized email works really well. We have copy in the toolkit that you can use and adapt to send emails to colleagues and friends who might be interested in this. And this is not necessarily geared towards educators. It's anyone, by the way, who has an interest in this. So we're looking to have, it's probably a little bit education centric because we have a lot of educators in my network. But we're looking for lawyers, scientists, government workers, anyone who has an interest in this, and you don't have to have expertise either. We want people who are, doing grassroots community work too. So any of those kinds of people are welcome to attend and or present. We also recommend that you maybe post in your professional networks on LinkedIn or Discord or whatever tool you might use, and then ask your institution to promote however you see fit and appropriate and what's appropriate. We particularly do not say a lot about words that could be incendiary to others. We want this to be kind of nonpartisan, but it's really hard to be that way these days. So we're not doing a lot of negative kind of framing of things. We want to give people, actionable things that they can do no matter where they stand. as long as they stand for democracy. So here are some sample social media posts. You can post about your particular session and when you're going to be presenting. All sorts of different kinds of things you can do. So these are just some ideas. In terms of technical stuff for the conference, this is the most important part of, I think, of the training. It helps if you are using Chrome. Firefox may work, Microsoft Edge may work, but Chrome really is the best browser to use with the RingCentral platform. That's Google's browser. If you try to use Safari, you're going to have problems. I can guarantee that, unfortunately. So make sure that you have Chrome installed on your device. It is best if you present from a laptop or a desktop. There is an app for mobile devices, but it's not great for presenting. So in case anybody's, I think most people do it on do present on a laptop or a desktop, but just to make that clear. And then if you're going to have slides, and you don't have to have slides necessarily, we recommend using Google Slides, and you'll share your slide deck from a tab in your conference room. And I'll show you what that looks like in a few minutes. But if you use PowerPoint, you can convert things pretty easily to Google Slides if you upload it to Google Drive. Web-based slideware works too. I use Gamma, which is a AI-powered slide presentation tool. That works fine too. Or if you use Canva for your slides, that also works well. So those are some of the options that you have. Then in your browser, if you have not done this before, you may have to enable your audio and your video in Chrome. This is the number one issue that we run into with people having, when they get on the platform, they're not able to hear or see or appear on camera. And so you need to go into your Chrome settings, and go to a section that's called Privacy and Security, and making sure that your camera and your microphone are accessible. And I'll show you when I get to the demo part of this where that is. And you don't want to wait till the last minute to come in and try this out. You want to practice ahead of time just to make sure you're good to go. We will have people that are checking our rooms and helping to troubleshoot. So don't stress out if something goes wrong. We'll be there to help. Your presentation space, some people are presenting 20-minute lightning talks. Some people are doing 50 minutes. There are a few people that are doing 90-minute workshops, which we'll see how well that works. It depends on how many people we have at the conference. 90 minutes might be a little bit long for people, so we'll see. But anyway, you want to kind of think about how a lightning talk is probably something that's quick and informational without a lot of interactivity. Your general sessions and your workshops that are longer allow for more of those kinds of conversations, and people, actually turning on their audio and video and being on stage with you, that sort of thing. So try to keep it, within the time frame. You're not going to be cut off from recording if you go over, but you will prevent people from going to another session. And so we like people to be kind of mindful of the time. There's a 10-minute gap between each session, and so that people have some time is a buffer, and also gives people time to go get a drink of water or whatever they need. Most people will be in session rooms, what we call session rooms, and there are two different types that can be locked down and moderated, or open. And if they're open, you don't have all the full tools that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And then so by default, we make them moderated. We make you the moderator, and you can control things. People can still turn on their audio and video and be part of your conversation if you want them to, just like in a Zoom room, but they have to ask permission, and you have to enable it if you want to do that. It's not a big deal. I recommend moderated over open because you won't have some of the other features that are in session rooms if you choose the open room. In an open room, everybody turns on their audio and video. And in my experience, some people are kind of shy and don't necessarily want to do that. So you probably will be in a session room. There are things that you can do in a session room that can make it a little bit more interactive. You can upload a slide deck or a handout of some sort to a material sharing tab. There's a Q&A queue if you want people to use that for Q&A management. There are breakout rooms just like in Zoom and polls, and there's a live chat that accompanies them. You can also use, you can blur your background, and you can also upload your own background if you'd like to have something more professional behind you. Some people featured speakers and keynotes will be on stages. These are more admin oriented. We have to put you on the stage and do some of the controls ourselves. It's a little bit more, it's not as I don't know, self organizing as a session room. And you don't have breakout rooms with this. So if you are placed on a stage, and you'll see when I send you the final schedule, and you don't want to be on a stage, let us know, and we can move you to a session room. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time about that because most people are going to be in session rooms. The recording happens automatically. As soon as you turn on your audio and your video, the recording starts. And you don't have to do anything. You just have to leave your room and the recording will start processing. Once you're done in your room, you can leave, it will start processing, and when it's ready, we can publish it. We may have to do a little bit of editing if turned on your camera and did a lot of setup ahead of time. We try to trim that out. And then a week or so after the conference, we'll send you a folder with the recordings, and you can download your video and use it however you want to on your own YouTube channel or on social media, however you want to do it. We also will have it in our recordings for people to look at afterwards as well. So we typically, in my other conferences, we do have a slide template for people to use. For this conference, and we do require it because we have sponsors and that sort of thing that are listed on the slides. For this, we're not going to require it, but I will provide a template if you want to use one that's kind of aligned to our colors and that sort of thing, but you don't have to use it. It's not required. In terms of design, we want things to be accessible to people. These are just some tips, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but try to use high contrast, keep the amount of text on your slides to a minimum, and use large fonts so that people can see what you're doing. In terms of languages, there may be people from all over the world who are part of this. And so we recommend avoiding idioms and any kind of language that might be perplexing to someone where English is not their first language. So these are just some of the things some tips for designing, and some tips here for prepping. If you prep, you don't have to spend a ton of time preparing, but if you prep, you're going to feel a lot more confident, and you will not be panicking if something goes wrong when you come into your room. So just make sure you get in like maybe once before the actual day at least, and you should be fine. In terms of engagement strategies, these are some of the things that we recommend in terms of kind of planning your presentation. If you're in a lightning talk, again, keep it, short and sweet. With general sessions, you don't have to follow this by any means, but these are some of the tips that we recommend. And you can also use polls in there. There's polls within your session room. There are also polls within the whole event. And I'll show you what that looks like in general. If you want people to use the Q&A queue, make sure that they know where that is before you begin, and they can post their questions there, or they can just use it in the chat. Again, these are some more presentation techniques. If you're not familiar with presenting virtually, it's a little different than in person, obviously. And because we have a global audience, this is one thing I need to do all the time, is speak clearly and slowly, because it's easier for people to understand. There is closed captioning that people can turn on in their individual settings, which I think helps people to process what they're hearing as well. So the one thing on this slide that's really, really important is screen sharing. So if you do have slides, you're going to share your screen. You have the option for sharing a window, a tab, or the whole screen. It works much better if you share a tab. And so you would have your Google Slides open in a tab, you'd have your presentation room open in a tab, and you can navigate in between them. If you're going to show a video, that's fine. Make sure it's like in YouTube or something like that. That's probably the best place to share from in terms of videos. So just keep in mind that sharing from a tab, and I'll demonstrate this if you have no idea what I'm talking about. So these are some of the common technology and audience engagement and timing issues that you may run into. Very often with the tech issues, if you leave a room and come back in, sometimes it works better. If you restart your computer, if you clear your cache, that kind of basic troubleshooting stuff usually helps in general. We generally don't have a lot of tech issues if people are using Chrome and have updated it and that sort of thing. But if you do have issues, these are some tips. There's also some more tips in the RingCentral Events support site too, about how to get around those things. These are the tools that I mentioned earlier that you have in your session room and what they do. I think they're pretty self-explanatory. The breakout rooms are not recorded, just like in a Zoom room, as an FYI. Here's a checklist of to prep. You want to have water nearby so that if in case you get a dry mouth, you may want to have a backup plan of connectivity as an issue wherever you are. And these are just some kind of common sense ideas for making the most of your session. During your session, you may want to ask people, we don't provide a list of who was in your session. So you may want to ask people, make sure that you have a slide with your contact info on so people can reach out to you afterwards or if they watch the recording. You also may want to ask people for their contact info in the chat, and then you can send a follow-up email to them if you have a resource or something for them. So think about how you're going to connect with people post-conference. We do have a LinkedIn group and that sort of thing, but it's really geared towards educators, so I'm not sure if it'll be that exciting for you. But think about how you can continue the conversation. Again, these are some of the critical dates and resources here. Are my final tips for success, and then I'll go into a demo of this, is have fun with this, be yourself and be authentic. Um, you know, uh, we're not looking for the world's most polished presentations. We're looking for people who are passionate about democracy and who want to share their ideas or network or, um, who want to get better at what they're doing. So, you know, be easy on yourself in terms of things, because I think the people that tend to come to our conferences are looking for engagement online in a meaningful way, if that's possible. So just some final tips. So thanks again for making Thrive possible and sharing your organization and your work. We're really excited to have you be part of this. We hope that you'll come away with some new contacts and resources and ideas for moving forward. As I recently saw Timothy Snyder and Rachel Maddow speak in Chicago, and his big point was that democracy is not going to be saved by the government or by politicians. It's going to be saved by the people. And if everyone can do something, no matter how small, doesn't have to be something grandiose, then it makes a difference. So that's what we're really trying to do with the conference. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and then I'm going to pull up the conference platform and show you what it looks like. Any questions so far while I'm doing this? I know it's a lot of info.
You said that this will be shared out afterwards,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And will it be accessible to some of my co-presenters are actually students, and I want to make sure that
yeah,
they have access to it as well.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
perfect.
How old are your students?
They are around 16 to 18, so they are high school students.
Okay, okay.
So just want to make sure that they feel
Okay.
comfortable with it
Okay.
as well.
Yeah. So here's the thing with students. They can, Ring Central doesn't want obviously people under 13 joining the platform or registering on the platform. You
Hmm.
don't have to have them register if you don't
Okay.
want them to be registered, or if they don't want to be registered. I think they'll be able to get into your room without registering with the link that I send you.
Okay.
So, keep that in mind. And everybody loves to hear from young people and from students. So
Yeah.
that's really, really exciting. And um, that they're I have a daughter who's 27, and we were just talking about AI with some of my education friends. We were visiting in New York and a couple weeks ago, and she was saying like my future is in jeopardy here, and AI is not it. It was very interesting. But I think she's representative of a lot of young people who feel like not particularly hopeful.
Yeah.
Anything we can do also to support, you know, um, young people in their efforts too. I think the intergenerational piece is really important. Okay, so let me show you the platform. I've got too many tabs open though, so let me close a few tabs. Um, And also, if your students do register too, they don't have to use their names necessarily. Like they can
Okay.
just say, give a fake name or whatever. If there's any concern about privacy and things like that, feel free to
Sure.
do what you need to do. All
Appreciate
right.
that.
Okay. Um, so here's the platform. I'm going to put on my glasses so I can actually see. And I'm going to go into the event. Okay, so this is what, when you log into the conference, it's going to look something like this. Um, Let me go to the registration page too. So this is the registration page where we've registered you already. So theoretically, um, you'll see when the conference is live, a blue button at the top that says enter or get ready for the conference or something like that. But this is where you'll go in if you are registered. I don't know how it works exactly, but I know when I come to this site, um, when a conference is live, it prompts me to enter. You can also go in through the links that I'm going to send you that gives you permission to get in early before everything is live. And then you can practice. So when you go in, it's going to look like this. And right now it's saying it's going to start in 2 weeks, blah, 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 blah. You can create your public profile, which is different than your speaker profile. I control the speaker profile. You control your personal profile. So you may want to fill that out at some point. And then you'll be able to preview the event and go in. Um, and this is what the conference platform looks like. The schedule is not on here yet. It will be next week. It will also be on the front page as well. This first page is called the reception page, and the speakers will be listed here at the bottom. The schedule will be here as well, and kind of basic information for people to navigate the conference. It is kind of your home base for the event. And on the left-hand side, you'll see some icons that are help you navigate the different spaces here. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see a collapsible chat window that also has some tools in it for you to use. So when you go into a session room, so the stage is where our featured and keynote people will be. Um, and then our session rooms will be here. Well, this is an example of a session room. I only have a sample one up right now. And when you go in, you're going to see that you're not on stage. You're not, part of anything really. You have to click this blue join stage button. If you don't see that, that means you haven't been added to this session and I have to add you. So hopefully I'll double check and make sure everybody who needs access um, has access to your room. Participants will be here and you'll be able to see them on the right-hand side under people. They'll be listed here and you can see who's in the room. They will not be able to turn on their audio and video because this one is moderated in this particular scenario. And you can communicate with them through the chat. They can also request to turn on their audio and video. And if you want people to do that, to have kind of a face-to-face conversation, that's totally fine. And in the settings down here in the left-hand corner is where you would approve them. An alert pops up there, and you can have them turn on their audio and video if they're not moderators in the room. So when you join the room, when you join the stage, I should say, a window is going to pop up that's going to have you check your settings. And it's taking a minute here, and it shouldn't take that long. Come on. My internet probably doesn't want to cooperate. But there's a pre-event check that makes sure that your streaming setup is decent and that your camera's working and that sort of thing. And it directs you to some troubleshooting if you have problems. And of course, it's not working right now, which is always great for a demo. Let's see if I can go in again. Okay, let's see. Okay, now it's working. So you're going to get a window that says audio video settings, and you can um, choose a background. You can blur your background or you can upload your background. You can also choose your camera or microphone if you use external devices. Usually you don't have to mess with this at all. And then there's some other settings here, just like in Zoom. There is one for mirroring your video, which means it flips it over around like this. You can remove background noise. You can use the touch-up video um, feature, and there's something called soft light. All of this stuff is totally optional, but you get set up the way that you want to look, and then you tap apply selection, and you'll be on stage. So notice in the upper right-hand corner, it is starting to record. Before I entered the room, recording was not happening. And now it is because there's a red dot there. There's also, you can tell with that eyeball how many people are in the room looking at the stage. And when you turn off the audio and video, the recording stops. So a couple years ago, we had some people at my global conference talking about their college habits. And they were setting up for their presentation, and they didn't realize it was recording. And so they emailed me later saying, please delete that. And I was more than happy to do that. But I learned that I need to make it abundantly clear that recording happens as soon as you turn on your audio and video. You will see a set of tools at the bottom for muting your audio and video, for getting to your audio and video settings. And then there's some kind of fun things which you can turn off. Like there's confetti, which I think might drive some people bananas. There's also emoji reactions. There's hand raising. And you can also go full screen and enable closed captioning. So those are personalized for you, really. And then there's tools over in the lower right-hand corner, which is behind here. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if I can move it out here. Maybe I can move this. I'm going to get out of full screen. That's part of my problem. There's a icon that looks like a lightning bolt. And this is where you can approve people that are going to turn on their audio and video if you want to do that. You can also have breakout rooms. You can have a session banner that's showing for each person with maybe a link to your slides or a link to your school's website or whatever you would like to show. And you can have it show for like a minute or two or for the whole session. And then if you don't want these audience engagement tools, you can turn off the confetti and emojis and that sort of thing here as well. There are different layouts, which you need to play with if you have multiple speakers. Probably the fill or the crop is probably the best one to use. If you're using slides and you don't want to be on camera, but you want people to hear you, you would choose the cinema mode. But you really need to kind of experiment with that. Usually the fill or crop are probably the best options for you. And then the last thing that's really important, which is a little disconcerting to people, but it's not hard, is screen sharing. And there's a button at there's a menu at the bottom that says Open Share Menu, and you can share your screen, and you can also share a YouTube video. And so what you would do is this menu pops up where you have an option of sharing your tab, a window, or the entire screen. When you share the entire screen, it does this, and I think it looks really messy. So I recommend sharing a tab instead. And what it does is it opens up, you have to have your slides open in another tab, and it's going to switch between your presentation and this room. So it's hard to explain, but hopefully I'm getting there after doing lots of these um, tutorials. So here's the Chrome tab. I'm picking the slide or the tab where my slides are, and then I click on share. I can also share the audio from that tab as well. So if I click on share, it switches to that tab up here, and you can tell because there's like a little rectangle up there, and it says when I mouse over it that this tab's content is being shared. It switches to this, and then I can, navigate through my presentation with the arrows on my keyboard. And then if I want to go back to the room where this is showing, I click to the left of that stop sharing button up at the top, and I can go in here and see what people are saying and interact with them. So it's a matter of clicking up here to go back and forth between these two windows. Google Meet works the same way, so some people may be more comfortable with this if they've used Google Meet. And then when you're done sharing your slides, you click on Stop Sharing, and you go back on screen. Let me show you one more time. You click on the share screen, click on the tab you want to share where your presentation is, and then you can toggle back to here to see if anybody's responding or whatever. But you basically you manipulate the slides through the tab where the slides are located. You can tell what tab has your recording to, by the way, by the red dot that is in that tab. And you can also click on that to go back to it. While I'm here, I'll show you the different layouts. This is the fill layout, which I think is the most common. This is crop, which makes my picture a little bit bigger. This is spotlight speaker, where I think it makes all the speakers in a row if there's more than one speaker. This is the floating one. And then cinema, you can still hear me, but you don't see me. And you have a full screen kind of effect. So those are the different kinds of layouts that you can choose from, and it's totally up to you what you want to use, whatever you think looks best. Again, when you're done sharing your slides, you click on Stop Sharing, and you're good. So that's probably the hardest part, is getting used to this, but it's not hard in general. I'm going to go, so this is an example of a session room. I'm going to go back to reception and just show you a couple other fun things. There is a networking space where you can connect with people based on your interest and do something called speed networking. This will be open before the conference for people to kind of get to know each other. We're not going to have an expo, which is like a vendor booth type of thing. I'm going to take that out. Recordings will probably be here for people to look at. There'll also be in a separate site that I will send all the presenters after the conference. And then the last thing that you need to know is, I'm going to go back to reception. On the right-hand side, we have this collapsible window. There's an event tab. There's an agenda tab. Agenda tab will have recommended sessions and anything that you've bookmarked in the schedule. The event tab will have a chat where that's for everybody all over the conference, and it's a good place to ask questions. You'll see who's registered here. There's a Q&A queue just for the entire conference. And then there's a docs area where we'll upload some documentation for people who need support. these tabs are really easy to mix up, especially when you're in your session room. And so I'm going to go into the session room and notice now I have three tabs. I have event, agenda, and session. Very often people will be in a session watching this, but they'll somehow end up on the event tab and they'll ask a question in the event tab. So what I'll do before the conference starts is color, give some color to these tabs so it makes it a little bit more obvious which one you're in. But just be aware that people get this mixed up all the time. And there's a specific chat for your session room that is all just for your polls, your Q&A, your chat, your docs. And then there's event-wide ones where we'll have some polls up for the entire event, but you don't need to put a poll in there, just in your session room. So be aware of this panel over here. You may get messages, direct messages under this envelope. Alerts will show up under notifications. And then the round icon here is your account information where you can edit your profile. And you can go to the help center, which looks like this, and ask for help too. So that's a little bit of how that works. And then finally, um, I'm going to share with you. Um, this is Notion, and there is a dashboard that has everything for the conference. And I will put this recording up there as well tonight when it's done processing. And this should have all the information you need. I updated it today. And this is open to the public and to speakers. There's a particular speaker page called Speaker Toolkit, which has a lot of important information in here in general for you, which is, I've already kind of gone over. But everything you need to know about the conference is here. And if there's anything else you need, feel free to email me and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. How's that sound?
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Two quick questions, and maybe I just missed it in part of it, but first, for the breakout rooms,
Uh-huh.
do those like automatically assign? Is it an option to assign?
Let's take a look at that right now.
Okay,
I think there's an option to do both. I could be wrong. It's
okay,
not as great as Zoom, but it's decent. Um, so let me go into the thing here and go into the room. I don't know if it will show me with me being the only person in the room.
right.
I
And
don't
I
know.
can practice with this
Yeah.
the students as well if that's
Yeah. Yeah, that might work. Okay, so
okay.
here we go. Breakout rooms, new breakout. Um, it says you can organize people by room or you can organize by number of rooms.
Okay.
And there is a regrouping feature.
Okay. Great.
Okay. So that will work out nicely. And, sometimes the sessions, the other thing to kind of keep in mind too is that sometimes the attendance is not high because everything's recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's always fun when you have more people in the room for sure. But don't freak out if it's only a couple people because the people that are there are really engaged and really interested in what your students have to say. And it is going to be recorded and people will watch the recordings and that sort of thing. So don't, we're doing the best we can to get people out there, but I feel like
Yeah.
there's still residual effects of the pandemic where people are not engaging like they used to before the pandemic online.
Yeah. I feel that. I understand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I get it. And it's, I want teachers to feel, I'm not in the classroom anymore, and I was during the pandemic, so I know how it felt. Um, I want people to feel, I don't know, I'm enthusiastic about stuff, which it's easy for me to be enthusiastic when I'm not in the classroom anymore. But um, given the pressures that everybody's under in schools, it's understandable, like, having to do something else, one more thing can be a
hmm
challenge. Okay, anything else?
I think the only other question was I might have a colleague just help with logistics the day of, but is it possible, like when I'm in that room, to make them kind of a co-host, like
Yes,
put on
yes.
Zoom? Okay,
Yeah. And
cool.
you can also send me if they register, you can send me their name and then I can add them as a moderator to your room too. And then they can help with behind the
Okay,
scenes stuff too. Or,
great. Thank
sometimes
you.
you don't necessarily need that, as long as you have somebody in the chat who's there to kind of
Hmm.
monitor the chat. But, if you want them to have the behind the scenes tools, then,
Okay,
let me know who they are and I'll add them as a moderator to your session.
great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to it. And, you feel free to drop into every one of these sessions is a little different because it depends on who shows up and that sort of thing. So if you need more help as we get closer, feel free to drop into another session, and ask questions. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Lucy.
Thank you, Alicia. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. And, we'll see you online soon.
sounds good. Have a good night.
You too. Take care. Bye bye.